Mia and Aaron had what everyone thought was a perfect life. Aaron was the kind of husband people admired, hardworking, kind, and utterly devoted to his wife. They were a power couple, a duo that complemented each other in every way. From lazy weekend brunches to quiet movie nights, Aaron adored Mia and made it known to everyone around them. They had been married for 5 years, and he still looked at her with the same sparkle in his eyes as he had on their wedding day. Aaron believed he knew Mia inside and out, that they were soulmates in every sense of the word. But as the weeks rolled by, little things started to feel off. Mia, who had once eagerly shared every detail of her day, became more reserved. She'd laugh less, dodge Aaron's gaze sometimes, and always seemed to be busy, even when they were alone together. Aaron brushed off the changes as stress from her new job, a high-powered marketing role that demanded long hours and frequent travel. Still, an uneasiness settled in his chest, a quiet but persistent feeling he couldn't shake. The first sign came one Friday night. Mia was going out with her girlfriends for a girls' night. Aaron encouraged it, wanting her to enjoy time with friends. But as the night wore on and her texts slowed to a trickle, his gut began to gnaw at him. When she stumbled in late, smelling faintly of cologne and looking a little too disheveled for a night with the girls, Aaron's suspicions grew, but he pushed them down. He didn't want to be that guy, the one who questioned his wife's every move. She'd never given him a reason to doubt her, until now. The second sign came 2 weeks later. Aaron was helping Mia with some laundry when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number lit up her screen. "Last night was unforgettable. When can we do it again?" Aaron felt his heart drop. He put down the laundry and took a steadying breath. She noticed his expression and immediately swiped the message away, her smile faltering for a second before she plastered it back on. "Work stuff," she said quickly. "Just, a joke from a client." Aaron forced a smile, but doubt was creeping into every part of his mind. The words stuck with him, that gnawing message now forever etched in his brain. He felt himself beginning to change, becoming more withdrawn as he watched Mia closely, painfully aware of every small behavior he'd once found endearing. It wasn't long before Aaron's worst fears were confirmed. One rainy Saturday night, Mia said she'd be working late again. Aaron kissed her goodbye, but as he watched her drive away, he couldn't ignore the suffocating weight of doubt in his chest. On impulse, he got in his own car and followed her, keeping his distance and turning off his headlights. He watched as Mia pulled into a small, dimly lit bar on the other side of town. A man, tall, dark-haired, with a broad grin, was waiting by the door. Mia stepped out of her car, laughing as she wrapped her arms around him. Aaron's heart shattered. As we dive deeper into the twists of this story, I'd love for you to join our storytelling family here at Lauren's Story. If you're captivated so far, why not take a second to tap that subscribe button? Each new story brings you a front-row seat to unforgettable journeys, ones that just might resonate with your own. Let's continue and see how this story unfolds. They went inside and Aaron drove home. The image of them burned into his mind. His vision blurred with anger and betrayal, he stumbled into his empty house, feeling 1,000 emotions but numb all at once. He poured himself a drink, then another, each one dulling the pain just enough to let him think clearly. Aaron realized there was no salvaging this marriage. The woman he loved was gone, replaced by someone he didn't recognize. But instead of lashing out, he decided to do something else, something that would make her feel the betrayal as keenly as he did. Aaron spent the next week preparing, carefully laying out a plan that would ensure Mia's betrayal would come back to haunt her. He quietly emptied the joint accounts they shared, transferring funds to an account she had no access to. He started packing his things, little by little, taking only what he needed while leaving no trace that he'd ever touched the house. He arranged to work remotely for a while, quietly coordinating with his boss so he could leave without arousing suspicion. He wanted to be gone by the time Mia realized what was happening, to leave her with nothing but empty rooms and the full weight of her actions. The night before his departure, he booked a suite at a nearby hotel, setting it up so she'd have no idea where he was. He knew she'd likely be spending the night with her mystery man, which suited his plan perfectly. While Mia was out that night, Aaron meticulously followed through on his plan. He left a single note on the kitchen counter, a simple farewell with no explanations, no apologies, just 3 words: "I know everything." He made one last sweep through the house, leaving behind the memories of what they'd built together. By the time he closed the door behind him, the house was nearly empty, a hollow shell that matched the emptiness he felt in his heart. At the hotel, he waited. He poured a glass of whiskey, watching the clock tick as he imagined Mia's reactions when she returned home. He could almost picture her face, the confusion morphing into panic as she found the note, the empty house, and the absence of anything familiar. He hoped she'd feel even a fraction of the pain she'd caused him. Mia stumbled into the house at dawn, the smell of someone else's cologne still clinging to her clothes. She called out for Aaron, expecting him to be asleep in bed. But the silence that greeted her was unnerving. She flicked on the lights, her gaze falling on the note on the kitchen counter. Panic set in as she walked from room to room, her eyes widening as she realized he was truly gone. She opened closets, only to find them half empty, drawers with barely any of his belongings left behind. Even their wedding photos were gone, every trace of him meticulously erased. Mia's heart pounded as she reached for her phone, dialing his number. Her calls went straight to voicemail, and she left frantic messages, her voice breaking as she begged him to come back. But Aaron didn't answer. He was already long gone. In the weeks that followed, Mia tried everything to reach him. She called friends, family, even showed up at his workplace, only to learn he'd taken a remote assignment. Her calls and texts went unanswered, each one chipping away at her composure until she was left with nothing but regret and heartbreak. Her new relationship with her mystery man quickly soured, the excitement fading in the cold light of reality. She was left alone, forced to confront the consequences of her choices. Aaron, meanwhile, started fresh. He rebuilt his life in a new city, surrounded by new friends, far away from the memories of his failed marriage. He found peace in knowing he'd taken control of his own story, that he'd refused to let betrayal define him. As Aaron looked back on it all, he felt no bitterness, only a sense of quiet satisfaction. He'd given her what she wanted, freedom. But in the end, she'd only trapped herself in her own loneliness and regret. Ending line. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is simply moving on.